Imagine having everything the world tells you to desire. Absolute wealth, royal connections, a vast estate spanning thousands of acres worked by hundreds of servants. And on top of that, a level of global fame so profound that your name is whispered in reverence from the palaces of St. Petersburg to the literary salons of London and New York. You are considered the greatest writer alive, a living god of literature. Now imagine walking away from it all. Imagine slipping out of your mansion in the dead of winter, under the cover of a freezing October night, with nothing but a few rubles in your pocket and a small suitcase. Imagine turning your back on your family, your fortune, and your legacy, only to draw your last breath days later on a hard wooden bench in a remote, snow-covered railway station. This is not the plot of a tragic Russian novel. This was the final bizarre chapter in the life of Count Leo Tolstoy. For over a century, historians and psychologists have struggled to understand what truly happened to this man. What dark secret did he uncover about existence that made his life of luxury utterly unbearable? What was the truth he was looking for, a truth so terrifying and revolutionary that it forced an old, frail aristocrat to renounce everything he owned? To understand his shocking end, we must first look at the man he used to be. Leo Tolstoy was born into the highest tier of Russian nobility at Yasnaya Polyana, a massive family estate. He was a count, a man born to rule, surround himself with luxury, and look down upon the millions of impoverished peasants who labored under the Russian Empire. In his youth, Tolstoy was far from a saint. He was a man driven by wild, chaotic passions. He gambled away entire fortunes, engaged in fierce duels, and indulged in the finest pleasures high society could offer. But beneath the surface of this privileged young aristocrat, a dark, restless storm was already brewing. Seeking purpose, he joined the army and found himself fighting in the bloody trenches of the Crimean War. There, amidst the horrific smell of gunpowder and the screams of dying men, Tolstoy stared directly into the eyes of death. He saw the meaningless slaughter of human beings ordered by kings and czars who never had to bleed. It was a sight that fractured his soul forever. When he returned to high society, he turned his experiences into art. He wrote masterpieces that shook the world. With War and Peace and Anna Karenina, Tolstoy achieved what few humans ever do: absolute perfection in his craft. He had a devoted wife, 13 children, immense wealth, and unparalleled fame. Yet, at the very peak of his success when he was 50 years old, a sudden and terrifying paralysis gripped his mind. Tolstoy looked at his beautiful family, his overflowing bank accounts, and his glorious reputation, and felt absolutely nothing but a hollow, crushing void. A profound existential dread settled over him. He began to ask himself simple, devastating questions. What is the point of it all? Why am I alive? What will come of what I do today and what I shall do tomorrow? What will come of my whole life? He realized that science could not answer these questions. Philosophy offered no comfort. He looked around at his aristocratic peers, but they seemed to be living in a state of blind ignorance, consuming wealth and pleasure while ignoring the inevitable approach of the grave. The crisis grew so intense, the darkness so overwhelming, that Tolstoy had to hide the ropes in his room so he wouldn't hang himself from the ceiling. He stopped carrying a gun when he went hunting, terrified that he would turn the barrel on himself. He was a man who had conquered the world, only to find that the world was completely empty. Desperate for answers, Tolstoy began to look away from the palaces and toward the fields. He observed the Russian peasants, the serfs who lived lives of grueling manual labor, poverty, and hardship. Yet, curiously, these people did not seem paralyzed by existential dread. They faced suffering, disease, and death with a quiet, profound serenity. Tolstoy realized that while the wealthy elite used intellect to justify their greed and mask their fear of death, the simple peasants possessed a deep, unshakable connection to the true meaning of life. They lived for something greater than themselves. This realization sparked a radical, total transformation. The billionaire author decided to destroy the elite count. Tolstoy began a spiritual rebellion that shocked the world. He rejected the organized church, calling it a corrupt institution that perverted the true teachings of Jesus. He rejected the Russian Tsar and the concept of governments, declaring that all states were built on violence and oppression. He became a radical pacifist, advocating for total non-resistance to evil. His writings on nonviolence were so powerful that they would later cross oceans and directly inspire a young lawyer named Mahatma Gandhi. But Tolstoy didn't just write about these changes. He tried to live them. He stopped eating meat, gave up alcohol and smoking, and began dressing in the coarse, simple clothes of a peasant. He learned how to make his own shoes and spent his days working the fields alongside the laborers. He wanted to give away all his money, give up the copyrights to his famous books, and distribute his vast lands to the poor. He believed that owning property was a sin, a theft from those who had nothing. However, this radical shift created a toxic, psychological war inside his own home. His wife, Sophia, who had stood by him for decades and spent years copying his massive manuscripts by hand, was horrified. She looked at her husband and saw a madman who was trying to ruin their family and leave their children in poverty. To her, his new philosophy was an insult to the life they had built together. The estate at Yasnaya Polyana became a psychological battlefield, filled with bitter arguments, secret spies, stolen diaries, and endless tears. Tolstoy felt like a prisoner in his own palace, trapped between his radical conscience and his loyalty to his family. For 30 years, he endured this internal torment. He was living as a prophet of poverty while sleeping in a mansion. The hypocrisy tore him apart. Finally, in the winter of 1910, at the age of 82, the breaking point arrived. In the dead of night, while the house was asleep, Tolstoy could bear the weight no longer. He got out of bed, packed a few belongings in the dark, and walked out into the freezing wind. He left a note for his wife, begging her not to look for him. He was choosing the life of a homeless wanderer, a pilgrim seeking God in the wilderness. But an 82-year-old man cannot easily disappear, especially when he is the most famous writer in the world. The press quickly caught wind of his escape. As Tolstoy traveled by train, his health rapidly deteriorated. The cold air pierced his lungs, and a severe fever took hold of him. The train was forced to stop at a small isolated junction called Ostapovo. The station master, overwhelmed by the identity of his unexpected guest, offered the dying writer his small, modest home. Within days, the tiny, remote train station became the center of the world. International journalists, photographers, government spies, and secret police descended upon the village. The Orthodox Church sent priests to see if he would recant his heresies, while the Tsar's secret service watched closely, fearing a revolution if the great iconoclast died. Millions of people around the globe held their breath, waiting for bulletins about the dying old man in the station master's house. Inside the quiet room, far from the media circus outside, Leo Tolstoy was finally achieving the simplicity he had chased for decades. As he lay on his deathbed, surrounded by a few trusted friends and his daughter, his mind remained fixed on the ultimate truth. Shortly before he lost consciousness for the last time, he looked up and uttered his final words, a powerful reminder to a world obsessed with wealth, status, and power. He said, "Even in the face of death, God is love. We are all searching for happiness, but the only true happiness is found in loving others and losing yourself in that love." On November 20th, 1910, the great heart of Leo Tolstoy stopped beating. He was buried in a simple wooden coffin in an unmarked grave amidst the trees at his estate, exactly where he had played as a child. There were no prayers, no priests, and no monuments, just a mound of earth covered in green grass, just as he had wished. Leo Tolstoy had everything the world could offer, but he realized that the things we chase, fame, fortune, luxury, and power, are nothing but illusions that blind us to the true nature of existence. In the end, the aristocrat who gave up everything found the ultimate truth, that the meaning of life is not found in what you possess, but in what you are willing to give away. If this journey into the past has captivated you, don't forget to leave a like. It's the best way to support this project and keep history alive. To continue unraveling the mysteries of the most fascinating figures who ever walked this earth, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss our next trip through time. Until next time.